Hello, 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 and welcome to the Poncho Perspective, where I take the time to speak to some of my friends in the art industry and see what's happening in the community. We have all kinds of folks supporting the arts. In this time where the arts are challenged, I try to bring you folks that I know that have dedicated their lives to some aspect of promoting culture and the arts. I got two exciting gentlemen here with me today that are going to talk a little bit about some of the projects we have coming up. I want to introduce you to Mr. Dennis Forbes of the Sebrof-Forbes Cultural Arts Center and Mr. Greg Scott of the Children's National Hospital in Washington, D.C. Hello, fellows. How are you?
We're doing great. I'm doing great.
Doing fantastic. Thank you.
Well, I mean, look at the screen, y'all. I want y'all to know that I bring you the most distinguished guest in the region, in the DMV. But for right now, without wasting a whole lot of time, I want to bring in Mr. Dennis Forbes. We're going to talk a little bit about a project that we have working on right now. We have an exhibition planned coming up on November the 26th at the Sebrof-Forbes Cultural Arts Center. Dennis.
Yes.
Man, you know, I've been along this ride with you from the very beginning of you when you first told me you wanted to open a cultural center. So if you can, give us a little bit of background about this concept that you came up with and how you implemented it.
Okay, so I had the idea. My son was going to college at Coppin State, and I was going to try to find a space in Baltimore. That didn't work out. I then went to Prince George's County, and that didn't work out. I then went to Washington, D.C., and that didn't work out. And then I went as far as Fredericksburg, Virginia, and that didn't work out, and I'm happy that it didn't. But I bank on University Boulevard in Kensington, and they had a building for sale, and I saw it, and I thought I was writing down the right number, and I wrote down the wrong number, but I used technology the next time I was over there. I took a picture of it. And that was in 2016. And so in 2017, we acquired the building. And in 2019, we opened, and then we got shut down. And now we are gearing back up to give exciting cultural education to people and talk about all types of culture. So hopefully that gives you an overview of how I got to where I am right now.
It is a great overview. I met Dennis as an author. So talk to us a little bit about some of the books that you have authored and particularly art books that you've authored over the last 2 decades.
Well, I've written 4 books. First, I dealt with printmakers because that was something that I knew. And after that book, Contemporary Printmakers, I wrote a book about artists in their studios. And that became a national effort. And we went across the country. Every other weekend, we were in a city interviewing artists. And we were only in those artists' studios for 4 hours because we wanted to capture as much as we could while we were there. And so we feature about 80 artists in that book. Unfortunately, Mr. Brown is not in it, but you know, but that was an oversight on my behalf. And I want to go on public record. And then I did Christo, Environmental Spaces, and I did Krishna Reddy, who founded the art department at NYU. Krishna passed maybe about 2 years ago. So those are the 4 books that I've written.
Fantastic. I particularly loved, and I think the first time I actually found out about you was your studios book. Hey, y'all, if you ever get a chance, go online, Google Studios by Dennis Forbes. If you can still get that book, get that book. It is a great overview of artists and how they live. What I love about Dennis Forbes is in this pretentious time of the arts, where you have the fine art establishment, you have the commercially successful artists, you have all this white noise going on. it's nice to have somebody that's in the middle that's presenting both sides of the equation. And tell me a little bit about you as an art collector.
Well, as an art collector, I have a variety of people. I have John Biggers, uh, Sam Gilliam, just so many. Poncho Brown, Joe Holston, which you may see in the background of here. It's called Jump Rope. Kevin Holder is directly behind me, the multicolored image that you're seeing.
Well, tell me what got you originally interested in collecting art.
Well, I was at the age of 13. I would go to New York, in Brooklyn, New York, right down the street where on President Street, I had some family members that were from my hometown, and they had this painting that I just fell in love with. It was a rose. And I went by one day and asked, and the rose was gone. And I asked the lady, where is it? And she says, that old thing, I threw it in the trash. So I went to the trash dumpster. Now, I need to make a correction, because in New York, you can't say trash. You have to say garbage. That's what they understand. I was coming from the South, and so to me it was the trash, but it was garbage. So I went there frantically looking for it, and there were 5 dumpsters. And the garbage men had just come by and taken the garbage away. But when I lifted the dumpster, the last dumpster, there it was at the bottom of the dumpster. So I took it out. I thought that my mother would be happy that I did that. So I took it home to her and said, Mom, I found this. And she said, where did you get it from? I said, well, I got it out of the trash, which was garbage. And then she said, honey, we don't take things, bring things in from the garbage. So she had become citified. And so she was no longer saying trash, it was garbage. And so I had to think quickly on my feet, and I said, can I take it home? Because I was just visiting my mother for the summer. And she thought and thought and thought, and that seemed like an eternity for me. Well, finally she said yes. So we got on the A train and went to Grand Central Station, and I got on Trailways, and we put it under the cargo bin. And afterwards, when I arrived home, I was so excited. I told my grandmother about it, and she says, baby, I know where we're going to put that. We're going to put that over the buffet. And do you know that painting stayed there until 1995, when she died at the age of 95. I currently have it at my studio at the Cultural Arts Center in Kensingtom, Maryland. So if you ever come by, if you want to see what it was, what the impetus for me becoming an art collector, there you will see the beginning of becoming an art collector.
So Dennis, when you, I can only imagine you went through a lot of procedural stuff trying to get this cultural center in place. And I just kind of want you to give a overview, if you can, for folks that might be thinking about taking on something like this. This is not for everybody. I mean, I was around when I think I went to 2 locations with Dennis when he first started this concept of this cultural center. And at one point, I saw one of the Baltimore locations. So to see him, first of all, locate the building that he wanted. The building is awesome. But tell us some of the stuff he had to go through to acquire the space.
Well, first of all, I was going to go out for a SBA loan, and someone approached me and said, Dennis, why don't you consider using us? So I used another bank, and so I didn't have to do all of the things, but it was super challenging. I actually gave up my entire retirement to acquire the building. The building cost was very, very expensive. So if you Google it, you'll find out how much I paid for it. But I'm not going to say what that amount was. But we went through a lot of changes, man. I had to learn about lawyers, working with attorneys, working with the county Montgomery County for getting permits, working with a contractor who was constantly putting in front of me change orders. I didn't know what a change order was in the beginning. I was just saying yes, yes, yes to the change orders. But I found that my operating money was just going down, down, down. So I had to learn how to say no to change orders. And then what ultimately happened, we have the building, but the ambiance that I may have wanted is not there completely. It is still a beautiful building, but through change orders, it took away a lot of the money that I would have had to use. And that's just in the construction industry. So I'm there now, been there, survived COVID, and now we're trying to generate other types of interest for collaboration with artists and with business people to talk about culture.
Well, I'm blessed that you've just started your schedule for I think last year. This year was your first full year of a schedule for 2022.
Yes.
And he has agreed to house my Poncho retrospective exhibition. And so it's been a great partnership. I decided I wanted to at least introduce you to Dennis Forbes, what he's doing, his books. I want you to really check out what's happening with his center. This space is awesome. But I also want to show you a bit of a promotional piece that we did for the upcoming exhibition. So I'm very, very, very excited to bring this exhibition to the DMV in particular. We went through a painstaking process of installing the show last week. And I think it looks beautiful. It houses probably about close to 50 of my original works that are throughout a complete time frame from the 40 years of me doing my work. So tell me what your expectations are for the remaining of your schedule for 2022.
Well, for 2022, you are basically it for me. We're working on 2023 right now, a chili cook-off in January, a Black History Month program entitled Living Legends of Now. Lamoral Gatewood, an artist from Brooklyn. We're going to have a book signing for him. And we're working with Alex Bostic from Mississippi. He did the Monia Lewis Forever stamp for 2022. So we're going to try to bring him here to the area so that people can realize what he did and who he is. So all things about culture.
Well, I'm really excited. I'm looking forward to bringing this exhibition to your establishment. It's a beautiful space. It's 2 whole floors. They have a conference room. Tell us a little bit about your rental offerings too with the cultural space and how you envision utilizing the cultural space and in the years ahead.
Well, right now we're having a young lady is moving to Gambia, and we're going to host her going away farewell party on the 11th. I think maybe the same day that your event may be. But she is going to have that event there, and we're booking other events for the upcoming months. We're just in negotiations, nothing finalized as of yet. But the space is available for rental, for parties, for exhibitions, and we have a gift shop that if you want to rent that out, you can do that as well. If you want to have a pop-up, you can have a pop-up. There's lots of space to do a lot of things. And we currently have maybe about the building is like 14,000 square feet of space, but we actually occupy about 8,000 square feet of space.
Well, I'm really excited and moved. I mean, for me, I meet a lot of people in this business, and a lot of people talk. Everybody's got ideas they want to implement. I want to do this and I want to that. I even got folks that tell me, you should be doing. So I really do identify with folks that bring a vision into fruition. And I can't tell you how much respect and governance I have with what I've witnessed you achieve with trying to get this space in place. I know you just recently retired.
Yes.
And this was a dream of yours. So tell me a little bit about your family support, because I know there's a lot of family support that goes into making a dream like this come into fruition.
Well, I have a family of 4, but I also have other family members that are supportive. But my wife, Matoka, has been very key in that. She agreed that I could take my entire retirement money and put it in the building. However, we did have some challenges after we did that. But I have a son named Keenan Forbes who is working with me, and I have a daughter, Bianca, who is working with me, and they both have MBAs. They got those maybe 6 months apart. So they're trying to tell me, Dad, you need to come up speed. And so they're working with me, trying to help me to get this together. But my kids want to build a plane while flying it, and Dad wants to test before flying the plane.
Only a few of us understand what it's like with a family business, but I'm envious of you that you do have total family support while trying to achieve something like this. I mean, this is not for the faint of heart. And
No,
if you guys get a chance to come to the exhibition, we're encouraging you to come to the Poncho Retrospective exhibition, not just to see the work that's there, but to also see what Dennis Forbes is offering to his community and the way he's trying to affect art and culture. If you can tell me, what does art and culture mean to you?
Well, art and culture is who we are, how we have evolved over the years, and what comes out of our communities. So that's I'm going to just say the epic part of culture is what comes out of our communities, regardless of how many generations have passed. But you can always bank on that a quilt is going to come out of the Black community. Music is going to come out of the Black community, as well as other cultures. So it's not just germane to one culture. You will see that happening over and over and over again. And so this is what we're trying to showcase culture and showcase the people, the creatives who do it.
So for those of you that are trying to keep up with the information for that exhibition, is right in the ticker below. to show the art exhibition. The artist reception is Saturday, November the 26th from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. We will have works available for sale. We will also have the Poncho Retrospective book available for sale. We have 2 other dates on his schedule. December 10th for a art talk, and we also have a closing reception that we'll be preparing for in January. If you had one dream right now that could assist you with what you're trying to do, what would it be? I know you were doing good, and now I'm gonna stump you with some abstract question.
Yeah, I'm gonna just say $10 million.
That could be,
and hopefully Westmore will come by the Cultural Arts Center. We're going to try to get him there.
No, that's going to happen.
Okay,
that's going to happen. That's not a real big task. That's going to happen.
Okay.
You know how the politician flow is right now. They need you just as much as you need them. But hey, $10 million is a good little thing. But I think to be serious, he's laughing. He's a very humble guy. But there's an issue here that's more important to me than anything else. It's called participation. Because, you know, people go through all these lengths to try to keep the arts alive in our communities and to keep breathing life in the culture. And y'all don't want to come out to support it. So I'm not going to get on a bandstand or a bandwagon with that. I think we all could do better with participation. But I hope you'll come out, like I say, on that weekend and really see what Dennis is trying to do, what his family is trying to do, and see how you can be a part of it. If you were an artist out there and you're looking for a potential space to do an exhibition, partner with him. This is what we decided to do. Thankfully, he allowed this thing to take place, and it's gaining momentum as we speak. He's got pop-up opportunities there. If you want to do lectures there, he's got space for it. It's just an amazing, warm space. And it houses like 50 pieces of my prominent pieces right now. So if you want to get by there in the next couple of days just to take a sneak peek, you're welcome to do that. Dennis, give us your information for the Cultural Center so that folks can know where they are going.
Well, it's at 3535 University Boulevard. We have a parking lot that will accommodate maybe about 40 cars, and you can also do street parking as well. But yes, 3535 University Boulevard in historic Kensington. And we are doing a historic thing over there as well with the Sebrof-Forbes Cultural Arts Center. Come out and support us, as Poncho has said and challenged you to do.
2 whole floors of stuff happening is exciting to me. So I hope you guys will come out. It's free of charge for you to come in. It doesn't cost you anything to participate. Spread the word. It's holiday season. It's the Thanksgiving weekend. So most of y'all not doing nothing. Come on out and support us. And hey, bring your wallet. Don't act like you don't have a wallet.
Yeah, we're gonna be Disney that weekend. So Disney wants the money that you plan to spend, the money you didn't plan to spend. Okay.
Well, you know, I really appreciate you, Dennis, for taking the time out to do this interview. I wanted people to get some more insight into what we're trying to do. This is Mr. Dennis Forbes. Please come and support what we're trying to do over at the Sebrof-Forbes Cultural Arts Center. I think you will be uplifted when you see what he's trying to do over in that space. And we encourage you to stop by and visualize how you could possibly use that space to keep this whole art and culture piece going. Thank you so much, Dennis, for your time. We love you, man. And I will be there on the 26th.
Okay. Looking forward to seeing you and others as well.
That's right, man. I appreciate you. Take care now, Dennis.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, I tell you, so many things, wonderful things that happen in the community we never get a chance to really talk about. We spend more time talking about the negativity that's happening on the news, the political scene, and all the other things that are happening to our community, but we don't often get a chance to tell you what is happening. In this show, I plan to do more of that, to introduce you to people that are doing certain things in the arts, particularly. That's what I'm so interested in. Dedicated my life to trying to preserve, and Dennis Forbes is a wonderful example of that. I'm going to introduce you to another gentleman. His name is Greg Scott. He's a gentle giant. He's also an artist. He currently is the curator over at the Children's National Hospital. He's been doing exhibitions there for a while, but I want to introduce you to Mr. Greg Scott. Hello, Mr. Scott.
Hello,
How
Mr.
are you? Oh, man, look, see, I told you he was an artist. Look at the glasses, y'all. I might have to trying to find a blue background and match the glasses, because the brother is doing his thing. How you doing, Greg?
Good, good. How you doing today?
You know how I do, man. I'm just on automatic pilot. I don't know how it gets done. I just do it. How are you feeling, man? Tell us. There's so many parts of you. I met you as an artist before I realized that you were actually working at Children's National Hospital. Tell me about your affiliation with Children's National Hospital.
Well, I started working at Children's Hospital when I moved back to Washington, D.C. I went to school in New York, and I lived in L.A., moved back here. And so I started working at Children's Hospital over 20-something years ago. And it's been a rewarding experience for me. I love working with the patients and the families, and we do so much at the hospital. It's really something that I look forward to every day when I go to work. I've dealt with a lot of artists throughout my life, from New York to California to Atlanta. But working at Children's Hospital has just made me made something special, and just seeing kids, families walk down the corridors and looking at all the artwork, and artwork for most of the people that don't know this, artwork is very healing when families are going through issues with health or even death. The art in the hospital just helps people to deal with the reality of why they're there.
What made them decide to dedicate space for revolving exhibitions?
Well, that was something I came up with. That was a plan I came up with, and I just implemented it. The more pieces we have many galleries around the hospital. So I started putting up many galleries throughout the hospital. We always had a main gallery that we feature professional artists from local artists to international artists and super artists like yourself. But this is something that I spearheaded at the hospital, and I think we're reaping the benefits of it. I hear parents, families say, "This is the only hospital I've been in that have so much artwork in it."
Well, I tell you what I love about that space is that it's just it's quite magical, actually. I mean, sometimes it's the simplistics of it all. You wouldn't expect to see a gallery in a space like that, but I love your foyer. I love how welcoming it is to children and to families, and so it's so wonderful to see all of that meld together. I would imagine that there's challenges even with trying to keep artwork in the eyes of the people in the hospital. So tell me some of the challenges you face by trying to do this work.
The challenges really that I face is basically getting artwork in that resonates with the families, getting artwork that touch people's hearts and spirits and souls, and that's what my journey is at the hospital. And once I get a vision of what needs to be done, then there is no more challenges.
Right.
So I just attack it like that.
Mm-hmm. So I understand, you're partnering with a specific department right now to do the exhibition that we're currently doing. But tell me a little bit about how that works in conjunction with the images you select for the galleries.
Well, I know with the main gallery, I know we get a lot of traffic that visitors, families, and staff members that go down this particular corridor that we have the gallery in. And so in doing that, that's that process. And what we do is we change the gallery every 3 months now. So what I try to do with that particular space is give something that people can really look forward to every time it changes. So every time it changes, people tell me, now, you know, Greg, I look forward to seeing what you're going to do next or what we're going to have up next. Now, the other parts of the hospital that I work with, we have outpatient clinics. We put artwork, we have art galleries in those spaces as well. So what I'm trying to do is just expand all the locations to have more artwork in it, as much art as possible. And to feature some artists that don't get a chance to be featured, you know, some young people, some mature people. But I think everybody has a voice. And through art, I think it's very important to express your voice.
Tell me a little bit about you as an artist. I mean, because I met you as an artist. I didn't meet you as a curator of the Children's National Hospital. So tell me a little bit about your work.
Well, I went to Pratt Institute. I graduated from Pratt Institute. I worked in New York for a while. I worked in LA for a while, like I said, and then I moved back here. My work is very graphic. I came through the 80s. Not telling my age. When I was 2 years old. So I knew a lot of people that came through that time. Thank God I'm still alive. We're not gonna call no names. But, so my work has always been very graphic and very colorful. And I love doing like images of people, faces, figurative work. Very graphic though, very graphic, very powerful. I try to get powerful images as much as possible, and positive, powerful images.
Well, we have an exhibition that we both partnered with starting early this year. I did a residency in Ghana, where I actually had an opportunity to work with a group of students. I have a friend of mine named Don Sutherland that has been working with students with the mission to put more girls in school. You know, if you got a family of 5, it's hard to send children to school. Many of the schools, kids have to pay school fees. And so what Dawn began to do is to raise money for students to go to school. And in the process now, she's at 300 plus students that she actually administers help to. So that was kind of the reason I was there for the residency. She wanted me to try to come and expand the borders of arts in Kumasi, particularly in Ghana. And she also challenged me with actually sponsoring a studio of young artists, which I agreed to do. One of the byproducts of that residency was that the children were running through her platform, her establishment while I was there. And I usually would do sketches of children when I'm there. Usually I take my sketch pad with me. I will knock something out. But on this particular occasion, I said, well, let me go ahead and just take iPad photographs of the kids. You know, kids love when you shoot a picture of them and you turn it around, they go, oh, and then their friends go, oh. So I decided what I would do is that I got back to my room that night at the compound and I started doing these colorized versions of these digital paintings from the photographs. And so what that birthed was 40 plus portraits of the children, which I put all online and, you know, the normal promotional stuff that I do. People really like them. But you saw them and decided to do something bigger. Tell me a little bit about how those images impacted you and what prompted you to do the exhibition that we ended up putting together.
Well, first, let me just say this. You're a man of inspiration. And whenever you do something, it's just inspiring to all of us. I'm just going to tell you that, the truth be told on that. But once I saw the first image on Facebook, I just like, wow. And then I saw the other images. Then it started clicking in my mind. Then I started visualizing a show. I'm like, okay, I see this show. I see it. It's gonna be tremendous. And so as I was seeing more images, I started sharing it with my director at the hospital, as well as the VP of the hospital, and they were inspired. So I was like, okay, this is beginning to snowball. And the next thing I know is like, okay, we having a roundtable discussion, the art committee, and they said, Greg, let's get Larry Poncho Brown. This is wonderful. So I said, okay, I don't know how many pictures he might have though, but we're gonna work this out. We're gonna work it out. We're gonna work it out. So the fact that then I reached out to you, I said, well, let's do a show. We start kicking the ideas around, and I was like, okay, now I see all this. And then you told me you had 40 pieces. That was it. Once you told me you had 40 pieces, I knew we could do a show. And so that was my whole inspiration. And just working with you, it was just fantastic. And this is a show, and I can tell you, everybody has made positive comments about it. They love the show. They love seeing the difference images of all the children, and it's just, and then reading the stories of how they felt about who they are, how beautiful they are inside. It's just very moving. And so I have no words. I'm just
Well, I love when people don't have words, because that means there's something spiritual happening.
Yes.
But what's so important about this is, and I thank you too, because sometimes people don't have a vision, Greg. People could have just said they liked them, and left them online. But it takes a special person to see and offer an opportunity for artists to take advantage of something like that. And so I welcome the partnership. It's been wonderful having these things out. And he hasn't told you, but you've decided to move this to 2 additional areas in the hospital. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, once we had the show up, I'm sorry, that's mine. Once I started seeing the images coming in the show, then I reached out to our clinic our center over at PG County, and that's our PG County Rock location. I reached over there with the director over there. She said she loved the pictures. They definitely want to have in their little new gallery space. So so I reached out to her. She's also a manager at the Friendship Heights location. Okay. So she said, Greg, we have to have them up here as well. So I'm like, okay, we can do that too. So it has been tremendous seeing all the images at all 3 locations.
Well, I know the hospital has been faced with certain challenges, especially with COVID. So explain to us how the COVID circumstance impacted on your program of producing exhibitions at Children's National Hospital.
Yeah, well, once COVID hit, everything just shut down. So I had to come up with a new way of kind of like bringing art to the hospital, as well as bringing artists that that want to do exhibits. So that was a challenge, but we managed to get through that. But we didn't miss a beat. We constantly always had artwork, and I was determined that we're going to still have artwork, pandemic or not. We're going to still have artwork throughout the hospital, and putting up new artwork and changing installations. That changed everybody's perspective when they came to the hospital, because they would always look for something new. So my thing is, yes, the pandemic was a challenge, but it also was positive things came out of this for many people. And right. So that was a really positive thing for especially the families, just the fact that you can't do but so much, in the hospital, you can't go so much. But during the weekends, a lot of the families are still in the hospital, so they would walk around the whole hospital just to see the artwork and just to take it all in. So, and just to see the kids walk down the hallway and just point at the images, it's just very moving for me. I must admit.
Well, I must imagine that when they did shut down, and even though you kept putting exhibitions up, the hospital was closed to the public. So explain how the COVID circumstance affected visibility for your exhibitions.
well, we really had to shut it down. But I came up with a concept. I worked with this gentleman named Larry Poncho Brown, and I come find out he did these video galleries, virtual video galleries. And so that's the direction we had to go into in order to get people to look at the shows, to appreciate the shows. And that was a blessing. Truly, that was a blessing. So, and a lot of people saw the shows. I mean, I would get phone calls from people all over the United States saying, "Oh, great, I saw the virtual gallery. It's super fantastic. We really appreciate you putting it on the site, and we can see more of the artwork in the hospital." So, yes, definitely, we had to change up like that.
Well, that was an added plus, man. It's like, innovation. When you go through something like that, innovation is always going to come out of it. So but it still takes a special person to recognize when these things are happening and to put things in motion. And that's exactly what you did. So what we're going to do is show a little bit of a promotion for the show that we have up on the 27th. This is the first time that Larry Poncho Brown ever had 2 opening receptions on the same weekend. As you can see, we have been very, very busy.
Very busy.
The show has been hanging since what, July?
July, yes.
July. And so what ended up ultimately happening is that the hospital made a decision to resume art receptions at the hospital. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, well, since the pandemic, like I said, we had to close down. But the show that we have for you that's coming up on the 27th, it's going to be fantastic. Everybody should come. Matter of fact, everybody is coming. Beyonce just called me. Her and Jay-Z might be there. Kevin Hart said he might be there. Everybody going to be there. Rihanna going to come fly in. She might sing a song or two. But we got the Obamas told me they might come. So
make sure that Greg Scott is there too when they
everybody gonna be there. Everybody gonna be there.
That's right. Well, all the smoke and mirrors we can use, y'all. But this is about participation. As a matter of fact, it's probably the one issue that I think we have glossed over that I want to probably bring Mr. Dennis Forbes back in and we can talk about together. Tell us how important it is for people to have access to whatever you're getting ready to show in the hospital. What do you think is the most important part of it?
I think the most important part of people being able to look at artwork, appreciate artwork, buy artwork for their collections. I think that just adds another element to people's souls and spirits on that level. And when you see people smile at a piece of artwork or just stare at it for hours on end, you have opened up a channel for them to experience what they're looking at. And so for me, that's really important. And just to show there's different forms of art that we all need to experience. Not there's not, you know, there's not one, but all forms of art in so many areas that is anyway. Yes.
Well, you know, along the way, as we were gaining momentum in organizing this event, the lady I mentioned earlier, Madam Dawn Sutherland, and her Ghanaian congregation were coming to the Congressional Black Caucus in Washington, D.C., and they surprised us by coming to actually see the exhibition. Tell us a little bit about what that felt like to see people from the region coming in to support the show.
Well, when the delegates came in, they looked all over the place because we had balloons up in hot air balloons in the main atrium. So we got to talking, and so once we went down towards the gallery, and the first image they saw, they just lit up, you know, just to see their faces light up, and then talk about the children. They knew certain children, and then it just got everybody was so excited. She even took pictures, and I think we were talking to some of the children on FaceTime.
Yeah,
and they saw their images, and they were all excited, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, it's just a global experience to witness something like that. It's just a wonderful global experience. So for you to open up that door like that for all of us, I think it was just a tremendous thing for everybody. But long story short, the delegates loved it. Then the next day we had a few more delegates came in and saw something. They said, "Oh, that's my picture right there. I'm buying that one right there. I'm buying that one. I'm buying that one. I'm buying that." And you know, they like the larger pieces too.
Well, hey, we went completely 21st century on this show. Not only do we have the exhibition up, we also have a 3D virtual exhibition up. We also are utilizing QR codes. So if you decide you want to buy a piece, you can buy it directly from the show. And we also got it to the point where if you bought a piece, it will automatically sponsor one child for a year, because it costs about $100 to take to furnish a child with the books and the things they need for a complete school year, which I'm honored that we're doing something like that. I like to do projects that are not just about the visualization of art, but can also change lives and affect other people. And so, hey man, I'm excited. I hope you're excited. This is history right here, man, because I'm going to be probably in a coma when Monday hit with 2 exhibitions on the same weekend.
Well, you better be ready to dance. You better be ready to dance, because I got a DJ coming. We having a party.
That's okay. I can still do the robot, man. I could just do the top part and leave the bottom part alone. What I'm going to do at this point, I'm going to bring my man Dennis Forbes back in, because I got a couple questions I want to ask you guys to get both of your opinions on. And I'm still going to get on this thing about participation. I'm going to give each one of you guys 3 minutes to make an appeal to people so that they can understand that the efforts that we have dedicated our lives to mean nothing without participation. I'll start with you first, Greg. Tell me what you think the importance is of people coming to support what you're doing over Children's Hospital and your contribution to the arts. But just talk to them a little bit, so for that person that's on the fence, that's intrigued with the conversation, but they don't understand that there's more to just being intrigued with the conversation. Talk to us about that a little bit.
Well, I think it's very important to participate. I think it's very important to support the arts and the artists as well. We miss an opportunity when we don't do that. And you have to open up your spirit to see what's coming next down the road. You have to be open-minded enough to experience whatever that's going to be. And you have to get out there. So you have to go out there and participate. You have to go out there and support artists. You have to go out there, go to the gallery shows. You never know who you're gonna meet or what you're gonna see. So it's very important that all of us do that. All of us need that, especially Black folks. We need that energy right now. With all the negativity that's going around the world right now, we need all the positive energy we can get right now.
Mm-hmm. Dennis, I know you have had a mix of emotions with this subject. But if you had to make an appeal to the folks to understand the importance of what you're trying to do down in Kensington, tell them what they need to know.
Well, I would go with
pull them off the fence.
Okay, well, I would say it would be exposure exposure to the variety of things. Just as you look at commercials in a magazine, you're seeing imagery all the time. But it can be inspirational to see something that an artist has rendered and that you won't see out there in the public, but that you can buy it and you can take it home because it becomes instructional, inspiring, and it just helps you to understand the experience of the exposure that you will have by coming out and supporting a live art show and just seeing it and taking it in. It may cause you to cry. It may cause you to laugh. It may cause you to go, But that inquisitiveness and exposure helps. And that's what I'm going to say. We would like for them to come and have exposure through an experience.
You know, the art is a very important place, man. At this particular time, for all the things that's happening in the world, art beautifies the world. It gives you a place to have other thought patterns, to process other things. What we see on the TV is not indicative of our lives anyway. I think art is one of those things that, hey, when you start talking about documenting our history, that's what art, writing, theater, dance, all those things were what were used to document history from that particular period. So I'm just saying, you know, to be relevant, you kind of need to get out and see what folks are doing. Artists are doing some dynamite work. The pandemic did not affect artists the way it affected other folks. They were used to being isolated. They were used to being by themselves. They were glad they didn't have to travel, and they painted their behinds off. And so to be able to come in and see what they've been doing while they were on hiatus, it's a wonderful time. So I mean, the participation piece is so big. I stress it more. I talk about it on every show. I'm not trying to convert anybody. I'm just trying to get us to switch another gear and get out there and participate in what's happening in our communities. A lot of times we talk about our communities and the improvements of the communities and the things you think should change your community. Well, you can't change your community till you come out and take advantage of what's happening in your community. True. And so that's why I do these shows. That's why I dedicate my time to cultivating them. That's why I market them the way I do. But more than that, it's important that I show the partners that I actually work with. My career didn't get this way by myself. I got into this thing and I got massive support. I have great followers, but I also have great allies in the business. I want to take this time to thank Greg Scott. He has been a wonderful ally over the last 5 years. And Mr. Dennis Forbes, well, hey, we go back, but he has been a definite inspiration to me. These are the type of guys that make me want to be a better guy. And so hopefully at some point you will support what each one of us are trying to do. We got 2 wonderful shows coming up for November. And then I got a birthday month happening. We got Poncho 6.0 happening in December. Now, these 2 guys have made it to the A-list. You might not be on the A-list. That's how it works in celebritydom. But I want to take this time to thank you guys for tuning in with me and sharing your knowledge. We're looking forward to both events, and hopefully we can do some cross-marketing in the last closing days. Thanks again, Greg Scott.
Thank you, Larry Poncho Brown.
Thanks again, Mr. Dennis Forbes.
Thank you, Larry Poncho Brown.
That's right. And so we will be signing off for now, but we will be bringing you more information about the art industry in the weeks to come. Thanks again for tuning in, and have a good evening, and we will see you not next week, but the weekend after that.